highlights. The Lagos state government trains over 23,000 members of staff in 3 years. Federal government took up menace of Japa syndrome before December. On the foreign scene, United States President Donald Trump announces deal with Qatar. And in sport, Football Association appoints former Manchester United sporting director Dan Ashworth as chief football officer. Now the details. I'm Sarah Adesanya. Over 23,000 members of staff and the employee of Lagos state government have benefited from various training interventions between May 22 and December 2024. Also, within the period, over 185 training programs, including in-plant and in-service training, were organized across multiple cadres, skill levels, and thematic areas relevant to public sector efficiency, leadership development, and regulatory compliance. Commissioner for Establishments and Training, Afolabi Ayotayo, who stated this at the ongoing ministerial press briefing at Alausa, Ikeja, highlighting the achievement of Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu's administration and the second year of his second term in office, said 8,000 public servants were granted approval to go on study leave in the last 3 years. According to the commissioner, the ministry processed 742 sign-offs, training requests from various ministries, departments, and agencies.
For the past years, the Ministry of Establishment and Training has strategically focused its operations and interventions around 3 core pillars, that is, human capital development, industrial relations, and establishment matters. These areas form the backbone of a vibrant and responsive public service, and the ministry has pursued targeted initiatives under each pillar to strengthen the performance of the public service.
Ayotayo noted that through the Public Service Staff Development Center, key initiatives were recorded with the establishment of Digital Audio Visual Studio, Toastmasters Club for improved communication and leadership skills for officers seeking to improve career trajectories, and modernization of training infrastructure. Our correspondent, Adiola Kindeli, quotes the commissioner as saying that 5,342 officers participated in the 2025 promotion examinations for eligible civil servants across ministries, departments, and agencies of the state government, and facilitated the participation of 564 officers in 15 professional conferences and seminars. The Lagos state government has reiterated its stance against the imposition of excessive tenancy agreement fees, reminding all stakeholders within the state that the stipulated maximum remains 10% of the annual rent. This declaration was made by the Special Advisor to the Governor on Housing, Barakatu Dunuka Bakari, during the 2025 ministerial press briefing held at Alausa. Odunuga Bakari underscored the clarity and unambiguous nature of the Lagos State Tennessee law, stating unequivocally that any landlord or agent found demanding or collecting more than 10% of the annual rent as agreement or legal fees is in direct violation of the state's Tennessee regulations. Expressing concern over reports of unscrupulous practices, the special advisor said the overwhelming reports of the activities of these unscrupulous elements making life hard for Lagosians has come to an end. Odunuga Bakare called on members of the public not to keep silent but to report such agents and landlords. She firmly asserted the state government's unwavering commitment to regulating and sanitizing the housing sector to protect the interest of Lagosians. In a major stride towards improving health outcomes, the Lagos State government and Engender Health a global reproductive health organization, have launched an advocacy project aimed at enhancing primary health care (PHC) delivery and boosting maternal, newborn, child, adolescent health and nutrition (RMNCAH plus N) across the state. The project, titled Advocacy Solutions to Improve PHC and RMNCAH Delivery and Health Outcomes, is a collaborative initiative led by Engender Health with funding from the Gates Foundation and the Lagos State Ministry of Health, supported by key health partners. Speaking of the launch, Special Advisor to the Lagos State Governor of Health, Kemi Ogunyemi, described the project as a timely intervention that will consolidate existing gains in healthcare delivery and further support the themes plus agenda of the current administration. Ogunyemi noted that while Lagos has made remarkable progress, more needs to be done, adding that the partnership with Engender Health and Gates Foundation would help identify and strengthen gaps in the system. The General Manager of the Lagos State Naval Safety Agency, LNSA, Ifeade Oyeko, has sworn in heads and partner officers of the agency's newly established units. In his address at the ceremony held at the agency's headquarters in Ushudi, Oyeko commended officers for their dedication and urged them to serve with discipline, courage, and empathy. He also emphasized the importance of proactive policing, community engagement, and the protection of human rights, encouraging the officers to build bond relationships with residents and work collaboratively to address safety concerns. Oyeko emphasized the Lagos State Neighborhood Safety Agency's commitment to public safety through continuous officer training, community-based initiatives, and strategic partnerships with local stakeholders. And now to the rest of the stories. Chairman, House of Representatives Committee on Health Institutions, Patrick Umar, says the federal government will have a roundtable with stakeholders to address the issue of Jacques syndrome before December 2025. Umar said this during the House of Representatives Committee's oversight function visit to Lagos University Teaching Hospital, LUTH, in Lagos. It described the issue of Jacques syndrome as worrisome, saying that the federal government was proposing to have a national colloquium to address it. According to Umar, the national colloquium, which will comprise critical stakeholders, will focus on how to improve welfare of the doctors to encourage them to stay in the country to practice. Umar assured the commitment of the committee to fostering the growth of the hospital as a pioneer hospital servicing Nigerians. Over 300,000 candidates in 5 states of the Southeast and Lagos has been rescheduled for another Unified Tertiary and Matriculation Examination UTME. The Registrar of JAMB, Ishaq Oloyede, made this known in an ongoing press briefing in Abuja. Oloyede, who took responsibility for what he described as a sabotage of the 2025 UTME, said that affected candidates will start getting text messages from the board starting Thursday. It will be noted that of the 1.9 million candidates who sat for the UTME, over 1.5 million reportedly scored below 200 out of the maximum 400 marks, raising concerns across the education sector. The Registrar of JAM broke into tears as he apologized for the errors in the 2025 Unified Tertiary Matriculation Examinations. And in foreign news, United States President Donald Trump has announced a series of deals with Qatar, including a $200 billion order for Boeing jets and the second leg of his 4-day Middle East tour. Before flying to Doha, Trump met Syrian President Matamale Ramaphosa in Riyadh, urging Ahmed al-Sahara to normalize relations with Israel. The meeting came after Trump lifted sanctions on Syria, saying it would give them a chance at greatness. President Trump later praised the Syrian leader, calling him an attractive and tough guy. He also hinted of a possibility of joining peace talks in Turkey with Ukraine and Russia tomorrow, with Presidents Zelensky and Putin may attended. And in sport, former Manchester United sporting director Dan Ashworth has returned to the Football Association (FA) after being appointed as chief football officer following his ill-fated stint at Old Trafford. The 54-year-old served as the governing body's director of elite development and then as technical director between 2013 to 2019 before taking up positions at Brighton and Newcastle ahead of a 5-month stay at Old Trafford, which ended in December. His appointment at United was seen as a major coup among sweeping changes to the Red Devils sporting structure under minority owner Jim Ratcliffe. Ashworth had been expected to spearhead an overhaul of United's underachieving team alongside manager Ruben Amorim, who was appointed in November, but he left the club following the month. After Ashworth's departure from United, Ratcliffe described both his appointment in July 2024 and the retention of the manager Eric Ten as errors. Just before we go, use the walkway where available to avoid accidents. You can follow us and like all our various social media platforms. X at Traffic Radio 961, Instagram Lagos Traffic Radio 96.1 FM. Subscribe and watch our news and programs live on YouTube at Traffic Radio 961. You can also visit our website www.trafficradio961.ng. Did you know that the Solo administration supported 3,673 businesses with 1.156 billion naira and a plethora of interventions including grants, mentorship, business advisory, and capacity building, as well as market access opportunities? You can get more details on the Lagos State Government website. To end the news, here are the highlights of the major stories. Over 23,000 members of staff and the employee of the Lagos State Government have benefited from various training interventions between May 2022 and December 2024. Chairman, House of Representatives Committee on Health Institutions, Patrick Umar, says the federal government will have a roundtable talk with stakeholders to address the issue of Jacques syndrome before December 2025. We also told you that the United States President, Donald Trump, has announced a series of deals with Qatar, including a $200 billion order for Boeing jet on the second leg of his 4-day Middle East tour. And in sport, a former Manchester United sporting director, Dan Ashworth, has returned to the Football Association (FA) after being appointed as chief football officer following his ill-fated stint at Old Trafford. For contact with the newsroom, send a message to info@trafficradio961.ng. That ends the news broadcast compiled by Adesanya Ejoyuka. I am Sarah Adesanya. Thank you for listening, and God